What if the way forward was not forward at all? What if the path to wisdom was a path you could never step on, because it is everywhere and nowhere? For centuries, a single name has haunted the boundaries of thought in China: Laozi, the old master they call him. Or perhaps he never walked the earth at all. A man of mystery, a myth, a whisper in history. We know him by a book. Words that bend time and speak across millennia. The Tao Te Ching. But who wrote it? And why does it still hold the secret to living without chains? According to Sima Qian, the historian of the Han Dynasty, Laozi was a keeper of the Zhou archives, a guardian of ancient knowledge, quietly tending the memory of a civilization in decline. Born in the southern state of Chu, called Lia or Dan, he walked among kings and scholars, a witness to the currents of power and ambition. Even conversing with Confucius, the master of ritual and propriety, who sought order and clarity where the world was fracturing. Yet, as the Zhou dynasty crumbled, and the familiar certainties of court and city gave way to chaos, the old master disappeared. Some say he rode westward into the mountains, leaving behind only his words entrusted to a gatekeeper named Yin Shi, a cipher for a wisdom too subtle to be captured in deeds alone. Others claim he never existed at all, a phantom stitched from rumor born of longing, vessel for ideas too immense, too ineffable, for any single lifetime to contain. Perhaps it does not matter whether he walked the earth or only the imagination. Laozi is less a man than a question, a mirror held up to the restless heart of humanity. How does one live in accordance with the Tao? The way, the unspoken pulse that moves through all things, guiding the rivers, the stars, and the silent turning of the human soul. In this sense, he is eternal, a whisper of possibility, a call to return, ever so gently, to the natural rhythm of life itself. The Tao Te Ching, the classic of the way and virtue, was not a textbook, not a doctrine. It was a poem, a rhythm, a mirror held up to the soul of the world. 5,000 characters, delicately strung together, divided into two parts: the Tao Jing, the classic of the way, and the Dai Jing, the classic of virtue. Each line breathes, each paradox pulses, carrying hints of a wisdom that cannot be grasped, only intuited. Yet even here, certainty dissolves like mist over a mountain valley. The Mawangdui silk manuscripts, carefully hidden before 195 before Common Era, begin with virtue, not the way. The text, like water, flows in different directions, shaping itself to the vessel of history and interpretation. Was the Tao first a manual for rulers, a compass for those who wield power in a fractured world? Or was it always a map of unseen currents, the invisible wind that stirs stars and rivers, hearts and empires alike? The order of chapters may shift, the sequence of ideas may twist and turn, but the words endure, eternal and fluid, inviting each reader to lose themselves, and in that losing, perhaps to glimpse the way things truly are. Tao, the way. The word itself is a path, a road, a direction through the unfolding of existence. In early Chinese thought, it could mean a wide thoroughfare or a winding waterway, a route connecting distant lands, or the invisible current that shapes rivers and valleys alike. Yet beyond the literal Tao came to signify the right course, the natural order of things, the unseen rhythm that governs both the cosmos and the human heart. Laozi writes, "The great Tao is very even, but people like byways. How often we stray, drawn by the glitter of shortcuts, enticed by the curves of ambition and desire, twisting the road of life into mazes of our own making. And yet the Tao itself remains untouched, simple, constant, profound. It lies flat and easy to traverse, patient and enduring. If only we would set aside our restlessness and cease the endless complicating of the journey." The opening lines of the Tao Te Ching capture this tension with exquisite subtlety. Tao that can be Taoed is not the eternal Tao. Name that can be named is not the eternal name. Even the word Tao falters. It points, gestures, whispers like wind through bamboo, hints at a truth larger than comprehension, more alive than any syllable. It is both intimate and distant, present in every heartbeat and every river's flow, yet forever beyond the grasp of thought. Language reaches toward it, like a lantern in the dark, revealing shadows, but never the source itself. In this, we sense the paradox at the heart of Tao. that the way is always with us, guiding, shaping, sustaining, even when unseen, spoken, unclaimed. Tao is nameless, formless, ineffable. That is Wu, nothing, or perhaps non-being. Not absence, not a void emptied of life, but the fertile, boundless ground from which all things emerge, the hidden womb of existence itself. It is the silence beneath the song, the stillness in which all motion finds its rhythm. The invisible loom weaving the tapestry of reality. Laozi writes, "All things under heaven are born of being. Being is born of non-being. From the invisible, the intangible, the Tao unfolds the 10,000 things. From the one comes two, a dance of opposites, a subtle interplay of yin and yang. From two comes three, and from three emerges the myriad creatures, each a fleeting expression of the same eternal source. In this choreography of creation, the Tao is both the seed and the soil, the origin and the ongoing act of becoming. In this sense, the Tao is the beginning of all, the source, the eternal parent of heaven and earth. It is the ungraspable origin, the silent architect behind the music of existence, orchestrating without effort, sustaining without intervention. Names, with their sharp edges and limitations, fall short. Tao transcends. Desire, with its clamor and grasping, distorts. Tao flows freely, beyond calculation, beyond expectation, yet present in every leaf, every breath, every heartbeat of the world. To touch it is not to possess, but to attune, to move with the currents that underlie all forms, all names, all beings. If Tao is the way, then D is its radiance, the subtle glow, the quiet force, the living virtue that emerges when one moves in harmony with the way. It is the invisible current that courses through all beings. The echo of the eternal and the temporal, the integrity and potency that arises naturally when life is uncontrived. D is what is obtained from the Tao, whether understood as the cosmic key energy that animates heaven and earth, or as the inherent authenticity that resides within each human heart. Some read it as the primal power that brings forth mountains and rivers, the invisible rhythm that shapes the cosmos. Others see it as the spark of natural goodness, the original virtue within ourselves, waiting only for recognition and unfolding. In either vision, D is a bridge, the quiet hand that links the ineffable vastness of Tao with the everyday pulse of life. It is the fruit of the way revealed not through effort or striving, but through attunement, like the sunlight bending gently over a valley, soft and yielding, yet inexorably shaping all it touches. Laozi writes, "The highest virtue is not virtuous. Therefore it has virtue. True virtue flows, it does not force. It is the strength that comes from yielding, the presence that comes from emptiness. The power that arises when one ceases to resist the natural unfolding of things. D is the whisper of Tao in the heart, the quiet radiance that turns mere existence into living in harmony with the cosmos. The Tao manifests in Ziran, naturalness, spontaneity, the self-so of things. It is the effortless unfolding of reality, the quiet music that underlies all existence. The rivers flow along their courses without hesitation, carving valleys not through force, but through persistence. The seasons turn, each in its own time, bringing life and decay, warmth and cold, with neither complaint nor intention. The infant breathes freely, unshaped by doctrine, unburdened by ambition. The trees grow tall and strong without instruction, their branches reaching skyward as if in dialogue with the winds. This is the pattern of the Tao, whole, uncontrived, effortless, perfect in its simplicity. Humans born of heaven and earth are not exempt from this law. To act in accordance with Ziran is not laziness, nor is it passivity. It is harmony, a recognition that our nature, like the rivers and the trees, contains its own wisdom. To resist it is to strain against the current of life, to impose artificial patterns where spontaneity suffices. To follow Ziran is to step into the rhythms that govern all things, to move with them rather than against them, and to realize that the world, in its natural state, is already complete. There is no need to rush, to force, to contrive. The Tao flows through us when we let go, and in that letting go, we discover fullness, quietude, and the subtle power of living in harmony with the way. Wuwei, nonaction. The paradox that defines Taoism is not mere inaction, but action that flows naturally, without artificial effort, without the tug of desire or the strain of self-interest. It is the art of moving with the currents rather than against them, of responding with subtlety rather than forcing outcomes. In a world fractured by ambition, competition, and ceaseless striving, the sage treads lightly. He governs gently, like water shaping stone over centuries, leaving no trace of coercion yet shaping the course of events. He does not impose his will. He allows the inherent order of things to emerge. War, harsh punishment, and the machinery of control arise from minds restless with desire, from attempts to bend the world to narrow personal ends. These are the echoes of dissonance, the marks of a life unaligned with the Tao. To embrace Wuwei is to embrace restraint, to reduce desire until the mind finds stillness, until action arises spontaneously from understanding rather than compulsion. To do less, yet accomplish more. To speak little, yet convey profound truth. To act without attachment, yet shape the world quietly, irreversibly, like rivers carving valleys. Wuwei is not merely political, it is deeply ethical, spiritual, and personal. It is a recalibration of being itself, a reorientation of perception, a liberation from the incessant pull of craving. It is the recognition that life unfolds most fully when we stop striving to control it. That virtue emerges naturally when the heart is empty of greed, and that peace, in the self, in society, in the cosmos, is found not in imposition, but in alignment with the silent, inexhaustible rhythm of the Tao. The Taoist sage delights in paradox. The soft overcomes the hard, the weak conquers the strong, humility uplifts, while pride falters. In the Taoist vision, reality is fluid, ever-shifting. Value is a construct, a lens through which the mind imposes order on the infinite. Gold may shine, but it is no more complete, no more necessary than humble clay. The tall and the low, the beautiful and the plain, the virtuous and the flawed. These distinctions, when clung to, become snares for the mind, obscuring the underlying wholeness of existence. The Laozi calls us to reversal, to a turning inward and back toward the way. Return to simplicity, to the uncarved block, the pu, unshaped by convention, untouched by ambition. Like the infant, pure and unassuming, we discover fullness in emptiness. Like water, yielding yet inexorably powerful, we come to understand that strength resides not in force, but in adaptability, in flowing with life rather than resisting it. The paradox is instructive. What seems weak, incomplete, or humble is often the most potent, the most enduring. This insight is not merely abstract, it courses through political, social, and personal life alike. By letting go, relinquishing the constant grasping, the incessant striving, the rigid imposition of ego and desire, we allow the natural flow of the world of nature, of virtue, to emerge unimpeded. Harmony is not forced, it is discovered. The sage, living in accordance with Ziran, acting through Wuwei, embodies the Tao. He does not control the currents of life. He moves with them, shaping nothing, yet shaping all. In this quiet, unassuming manner, a revolution occurs, not of kingdoms or armies, but of being itself, a transformation of perception, value, and action. In yielding, we gain. In emptiness, we find plenitude. In stillness, the world awakens. The Taoist way is subtle, profound, and alive. It asks us to see through appearances, to dissolve the illusions of self-importance, and to recognize that the truest power is the power to let life unfold, naturally, spontaneously, wholly. Even today, amid the relentless rush of modern life, Laozi's words ripple with quiet power. The ceaseless pursuit of wealth, of recognition, of power, of fleeting status, the endless tide of desire agitates the mind, disturbs the heart, and fractures the world around us. We measure success by accumulation, yet our inner landscapes remain barren. In this restless striving, we lose touch with the natural rhythms that sustain life. Non-action, naturalness, and virtue are not escape, not resignation. They're practical living tools, subtle, yet transformative, capable of restoring balance to the mind, the body, and society. They remind us that richness is not in hoarded gold, celebrated achievements, or ceaseless ambition, but in the quiet fullness of presence. In simplicity, in openness, in letting life reveal its inherent completeness. By aligning with the way, by reducing desire, we rediscover the world's innate generosity and the abundance that has always been there, quietly waiting for recognition. In Laozi's vision, the path is not a road to conquer or a goal to achieve. It is a rhythm, a pulse, a subtle current flowing through all things. The way is not elsewhere. It is here, embedded in the rise and fall of the mountains, the steady course of rivers, the whispering wind through trees, the unforced laughter of an infant, and the quiet spaces between our thoughts. To follow the Tao is to attune oneself to this ever-present harmony, to move in concert with the unseen music of existence. It is a life not of domination, but of resonance, a life of listening, yielding, and finding strength in stillness. Perhaps Laozi was real, perhaps he was a myth, perhaps the Tao Te Ching was written by one hand, or many. Yet the questions endure. What if letting go was not surrender but the secret of freedom? What if wisdom was not conquering life but listening to it? And what if, in the soft, ungrasped currents of the Tao, we finally discovered the art of living?